It was Texas, it was Tennessee. It was what I had coming to me.
Howdy, folks. Welcome in. You have arrived at the Texas to Tennessee podcast. My name's Steve. Up above is Soul Gravy.
Howdy.
And quick shout out to my daughter. Today is her 22nd birthday.
Yeah,
Happy
shout
birthday, Meredith. Yeah. But more importantly,
That's
our
not
good
more
friend.
importantly. That's not. We
That's
can't
pretty
say
important.
that.
Yeah,
That's
it's pretty
pretty important.
Well, she
He
won't see this, so
understands.
it's fair. Very excited tonight to have my friend Jeff Martin on the podcast. Jeff, I appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
How you been?
Busy.
Good.
January was slow, and I was like, man, I wish it wasn't slow. And then I'm just begging for a break now.
Yeah. Well, good busy then. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I have a little bit of a home court advantage on this one. I actually know Jeff a little bit in real life, so I guess for the benefit of our viewers, would you mind taking a couple minutes and giving us a little bit of your backstory?
Sure.
Awesome.
Of course, my name is Jeff Martin. I grew up in the tiny town of Moran, Texas. And it's a spot on the map in Shackelford County, about 45 minutes northeast of Abilene. Um, I've always been kind of a music related person my whole life. I grew up around music, and I never put myself seriously out there until about 2019. I got dragged to an open mic, and um, as a way of trying to forget an ex, and I got booked on the spot, and it just blew up from there. It's been 6 years now, and I'm doing it full time. And this beautiful house I'm sitting in, I bought with the music money, and um, life is good.
Nice.
Life is real good.
Yeah, well, if y'all ever get the chance to see Jeff live, make sure you do. It's a guaranteed good time. This is the part of the show where I quiz Soul Gravy on famous folks from your hometown, and it's "Why Are They Famous?" is the name of it. Soul
Okay.
Gravy was 15 for 17 last night.
Okay. All right.
Well done, pretty good.
All right.
We gave you credit for Mr. Carter, even
Okay.
though you need
Okay.
a little
Okay.
help on that one, but
That's.
did pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, even knowing him by the rap name is that's
Yes.
that's at least a half a point for me, right?
For sure,
So
for sure.
okay.
So tonight, only two folks. One of them is in the chat tonight. So say hey to Jeff Martin.
All right.
Congrats,
Jeff
you're 1 for
Martin.
1.
I'm familiar with Jeff Martin's work.
All
Yes.
right.
He sings country music in Texas.
He does. He
Okay,
does.
got one. Ding ding. All right.
All right. This one's going to be a little tougher.
Okay.
Gentleman's name is Ben Cottle.
First, I don't know why the name seems familiar, but no.
Okay.
No.
Well, it's okay. Ben, pretty well known in the area, but his most significant contribution to the world was he invented the bump stock.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Shout out to Ben.
there you go.
All right. Well, that was it. Okay.
Jeff, general population of your hometown?
228 as of the last census.
There you go. Well, that's like that's 1% famous, right? I guess Ben's probably not with us anymore, but I don't know that for a fact.
He is.
Oh, he is. Okay.
The company was relatively new 10 years ago,
Oh,
and
nice.
it's actually shut down now. So
Okay. Is he from the family that maybe discovered oil out there originally?
as a matter of fact, Moran is home of Texas' first natural gas well, the
Yeah.
Cottle One, and it's still running to this day.
How about that? All right. Well, see, these are the tidbits you get, folks, if you
That's
join
right.
Yeah, so we appreciate that. Thank you for being here on YouTube, TikTok, and wherever else you find us. So we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, Jeff, this is I think this second strangest question we'll ask tonight. I'm going to give you a pie, and I'm going to ask you to divide it up into 4 sections. So it's a musical pie. First piece of pie has to do with songwriting or generation of the art. The second piece has to do with recording. Third piece has to do with performing, and then the fourth piece is everything that doesn't fit into those first 3 pieces. So running your own small business. Which of those areas is your calling, or which of those areas do you feel you generally kind of gravitate towards first?
And explain those 4 pieces again.
No, you're good. So the first piece is the songwriting. Second piece is recording. Third piece is performing. Fourth piece is everything else that goes into running your music business.
Man, honestly, I think the biggest part for me is probably the performing. Um, I'm one of those that I've never been the strongest writer, but the stuff that I have out, I put my heart into, especially the co-writes. I mean, there have guys that have just given me a few words and I've been able to run with it. The business side is always the tedious part that nobody likes to talk about,
Right.
just because it's kind of the private, like this is what we do behind the scenes. This is kind of, this is how we handle things, and the recording has always been easy, but I like the connection with performing, that you can get out and play a show in front of a crowd of 25 or a crowd of 2,500 and be able to meet people afterwards and say, hey, I connected with you because of this. Hey, I connected with you through this song, and you played some of the stuff that brought me back to a place in time that I forgot about. And the connections you make turn into more opportunities, turn into friendships, and I gravitate towards the performance every time.
Okay, cool.
It don't matter how bad of a day you've had to. Whenever you get to that performance, the day that just goes away.
Yeah, it's the reward, right?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
For all the other hard work that we don't see on the back end, the reward is the performance. Um, let's talk a little bit about the songwriting, just because you touched on a little bit of the doing some co-writing and whatnot. Do you have a specific, I guess, for solo writing, do you have a specific process? Seems like everybody we talk to has a little bit different way of either getting delivered a song or delivering a song. But where do you start? How does that happen for you?
Man, for me, it's just hard to write a song out of nothing. There's a lot of people that can literally look over their shoulder and see something and write about it. Mine mostly revolves around real life things that I've gone through, things that I've witnessed, as emotional things. Like one of my songs, I was upset because I was supposed to play Homecoming, and something happened, and I remember not being able to get to do that, and I was upset, and I was like, remember back in the days when I didn't have to worry about this stuff? And I kind of reverted back to a time where, it was a very personal thing for me, and I was able to relate to it, and I just was able to write it out in a way that, here we are 15 years later, and, things have changed, but things are also still the same. You can be gone from a place for so long, and you come back and everybody still knows who you are. So it's in a personal sense, it's for me to be able to write emotional things that I've gone through that people can also relate to. And when it comes to the co-writes, I have people that can also relate to those situations. Like the same story can be told, but means something different for him than it does for me.
Sure.
Hmm.
So
And
that's how songwriting works for me. I mean, that's the best way I can put it.
are you a designated time kind of place where you're like, all right, Monday, 1:30 p.m. I'm going to sit down and work on songwriting, or are you more of notes in the iPhone as you're going down the road kind of thing, or some combination of both?
Both. It's not necessarily a time thing. I'm more sporadic and I'm more spontaneous. It's more or less like I'll think of something, I'll pull over and write it down, or I'll throw it up in the notes and be like, "Hey, this is something I need to check on later." Like I came up with I heard something on a podcast one day on a different podcast, and as soon as I heard it, I wrote it down. I was like, "Oh, this is sick." Because it's never been used in a song, but it can be referenced as well. It's like I think that quote was the toes you step on getting to the top are connected to the butt. You've got a kiss coming back down.
Oh yeah,
So it's kind of like,
good
hmm,
stuff.
hmm.
Should be on a T-shirt, to be
I,
It
I
honest.
should be.
I was waiting for a song with Little Debbie in the lyrics.
Oh yeah, well we'll talk about that later.
Hey,
Uh,
uh, So, getting started in music in a small town, I'm sure that has its benefits and its challenges and all of those things. You seem to really be connected and love the small your area, your town, which is cool. I'm not in that small of a town. We'll talk about some more of that later. But still, I'm in the sticks, so I can relate. How was getting started in music in your situation like that?
So I'll be honest, it didn't start here. It
Gotcha.
started. I
Okay,
lived in Stephenville back whenever I've been in and out of Stephenville since 2011.
I gotcha.
Stephenville, it was back in the days when city limits ruled all, and if you played at city limits, you played anywhere.
Right.
And these are the days of Six Market Boulevard and the Mike Stanley Band and the early days of Co Wetzel and the Convicts and Sammy Fox and just all these guys that have come through, and I've watched them, and I was part of it. And I didn't put myself out there at all. But I left Stephenville for a while, and then I came back, and it was one of those deals where I lived in Stephenville, but I was only an hour from Fort Worth. And how it started for me was I was going through the worst breakup of my life, and I'm not even gonna lie about it. But I had a buddy of mine after a couple of months. They said, "Dude, I am sick and tired of you feeling sorry for yourself. I'm going to pick you up. We're going to go to an open mic, and we're just going to get your mind off things." He said, "I'll be at your house in an hour. Get your guitar and be ready." I said, "Why?" He said, "Shut up and do what I told you to do." And we ended up in Fort Worth at Varsity Tavern, which is no longer Varsity Tavern. And then that same evening ended up at Stockyards. And I played at Thirsty Armadillo, and the guy that books Thirsties was there that night. And he said, "Hey, do you have a 3 hours worth of music?" I said, "No." He said, "Can you come up with 3 hours?" I said, "Yeah, I can come up with 3 hours." I said, "Cool, I'm putting you in the books." Opens up his books and immediately writes it down. I'm not ready. I have a $200 Yamaha guitar, and I'm just not ready. But Stephenville was always a good point for me because it wasn't far from home. It was affordable at the time. Now it's not because Stephenville has grown tremendously. It's huge now. But you know, the only reason I'm back in this area was because of my dad. My dad came down with an aggressive form of prostate cancer. I moved home to take care of him, take him to his doctor's appointments, and the feeling of being back home and the love the community showed for our family was the reason I stayed.
Hmm.
Could have gone back to Stephenville. I had every opportunity to, but I turned it down.
And good
And
news, Pops is doing well.
yeah, he's doing great. And the small town, people treat me well here. It's like I never left. And that's the reason, I don't think I would have gotten the opportunity had I not left, but I'm kind of
Understood.
did. I'm kind of glad I left and came back because people have been so supportive.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, because you just a lot of times people don't understand. It's not that they're not supportive, but they don't really understand when people are trying to chase something like that. So I mean, it's cool when, I mean, even if they don't quite understand it, they just the fact of kind words and being supportive goes a long, long way. So
Well, I will say that
it's
I have
cool.
had my naysayers. I've had people that have tried to ruin it since day one too, and I've learned to care less about what they think and worry more about what I'm trying to do. So,
Well, to be fair, I'm just some since we got our buddies on TikTok here. So I'm just some bloke on TikTok that makes noise and plays music for to therapy reasons for my own to feel better. And yeah, I have those naysayers too. So
We
you know
all
what I
do.
mean.
People on the
It
internet are neat.
yeah, it is what it is, But if you do it for you and you enjoy it, and then some other folks enjoy it after that, that's what it's all for. So,
best decision I ever made, man. That's bar none.
so you didn't. I mean, a lot of people start out, they either are writing songs in the bedroom or they're doing cover band stuff. Kind of a generic question, but you dove into kind of both of those things right off the bat, right? As far as did you have original songs at that during those open mic nights, or
No,
No, so you dove in with the covers, and then originals came later.
yeah, within the first couple of months, I
I
wrote
got you.
one, and I had a couple of guys, Zach Lindley and Joey Green, really helped out on that first song I ever wrote, and it was all about making it big someday. It was kind of a spinoff of Travis Tritt's "I'm Gonna Be Somebody,"
Mm.
but I had made my own, like, I think the lyrics. So another late night at the couch at home, writing songs about living with nothing to show but a brand new truck and these bills that I still got to pay. It's basically talking about my life, and I'm just telling them I'm going to grind it until I find it, and I'm going to make it big someday. And that was just kind of like my first experiment into a co-write and being able to learn like where my writing started. And I'm not going to say I'm the best at it because I'm not. I definitely need help. I'm actually in some writer's block, something fierce right now, but it's been a slow process. But I'm learning every day. I'm learning.
Well, that's what. Honestly, I mean, Talbot, you can take the next one, but man, it's. I mean, that's why we try to talk to the people that we talk to. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
Um, it's not always perfect for everyone all the time. You know, and that's part of the things that needs to be highlighted too. You know,
Absolutely.
the real deal of the whole thing, not just the glitter. So.
Yeah, the daisies and unicorns are strictly reserved for your live soul gravy, right?
And tiny diners.
Yeah, and tiny dinnies.
Yeah,
We
that's
only
right.
need 497 more
Yeah,
to get you
yeah,
to
yeah.
where.
5,000 more. We're going to
Yep,
Key West. All right.
that's right. Jeff, for maybe somebody that isn't familiar, how many shows do you knock out a year? Rough guess.
I'd say around 250 to 260.
That's unreal. I mean, it's not
Anywhere
unreal.
from
Yeah, like it's crazy.
anywhere from 3 to 6 a week, depending on the week.
Okay. And managing the vocals, how do you? What are your tricks? Are you just blessed with amazing genetics, or how do you
No,
make that work?
no. I actually, well, for one, I drink a lot of water. I mean, that's I'm on my this. I think this is the eighth or ninth cup I've had today. I think,
Good for you, man.
and I just finished it. But when I first started, I came across a young lady by the name of Madison Page, and Madison Page is phenomenal. She's great. I love her to pieces. She said, "Hey, if you're having problems with your voice, go to Starbucks and get a medicine ball." And I said, "What in the hell is a medicine ball?" And she said,
Sounds expensive.
"It's really." I figured out how to make it at home, and it's literally you take a honey citrus mint tea. It's pretty much all it is. It's a peach tranquility and a citrus mint with lemonade, honey, and hot water, and that's literally it.
Oh,
And then what's his name? Jake Marlin told me about some cough drops that I needed to buy. They were called Fisherman's Friend, and they're the strongest menthol cough drop on the market. But then, if you ever need like a quick, like during a show type thing, I've learned that crushed Lay's potato chips are really good, and
Hmm.
have a can of Altoids with you at all time. Other than that, it's just lots of hydrating and staying
yeah.
on top of it.
How, why, I'm trying to think. Why would the crushed lays work?
The
I don't
oil,
know. I don't.
You get
Maybe.
hungry. It's Talbot. Jeez.
the oil and the salt.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
It sounded weird when he said if you're having issues. It was Jeb Bridges that told me um, about the crushed potato chips, and he said I keep some in my case just in case, and he had a rolled up bag of Lay's potato chips, and he gave me a little pinch, and I ate them, and my vocals were back for just a minute, and I was like, well, this is weird, but it worked,
Right.
and I owe him for that because he saved my butt that day.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you about, I know a little bit about this, so I'm going to ask you. So that's a weird way to intro a
Sure.
question. But you had a pretty cool experience over at Globe Life. Can you tell us about that?
I got the honor and the privilege of doing the national anthem for the Texas Rangers and Houston Astros on Labor Day in 2023, the year they won the championship.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And the cool part about that was they let me bring my family with me. I brought my dad, my mom, and one of my best friends, Colin. And they said, "Would you like to bring anybody down there with you?" And I said, "Dad, you want to go?" He said, "Yeah." And my dad just beat cancer,
Right.
so getting to share that moment down there with him, and being able to do the national anthem, and Pat Green threw the first pitch. So Pat and his wife were down there with us too. So I'm sitting there, and my dad. I look back when I'm done, and Pat Green is standing there with my dad, and Pat Green's just whistling. My dad's got his phone out taking a video, and Dad had just quit recording, and Pat said, "You effing nailed it!" And pat my dad on the back and hugged me around the neck and shook my dad's hand. We went back up. We just had a hell of an afternoon, man.
Yeah. And
It was the
Labor
weirdest
Day
feeling. It was the
packed, right?
weirdest feeling being able to hear them scream, and when they scream like that, you could feel it in your feet. Man, that was nuts, but it was so much fun, and I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, what a cool experience.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, like beforehand, did you like Pat? Do you have any tips or?
Pat said, he said, "Have you done it before?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "You'll do fine. Don't worry about it."
Yeah,
It's literally all he said. He said, "You'll do fine. Don't worry about it." He said, "I'm nervous for you, but you'll do fine. Don't worry about it."
uh, yeah, so cool. Well, I know even those of us that weren't at the game were all cheering for you, and I heard it was absolutely packed. So Labor Day weekend, Astros in town makes sense, right?
40,000 people, I think, is what they said, and the pictures do it no justice. I mean, that my background on my phone is actually the picture from the jumbotron. You can see me in the jumbotron, and then little tiny me standing in front of the pitcher's mound, and then just 40,000, a wall of people. It was
That's
just
cool.
nuts, but it was the one of the coolest experiences I've ever had.
I got to get back. I got to get down there. I've been to. I went to the old Ranger Stadium.
It was cool.
Yeah, which was still nice. That's why I was like, why are they getting a new one? But either way,
Air
uh,
conditioning.
well, that makes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's got to help the attendance in Texas. So makes complete sense. So.
hundred
Hmm.
hundred percent. Well,
Hmm.
I think maybe we're getting close to halftime. If you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about the song that we're going to play, and we'll let you intro it, and then maybe talk about it a little bit afterwards as well.
So most of y'all know we've already talked about it. My hometown is 228 people. I grew up. My graduating class was 7 kids, 5 guys, 2 girls. We've met. We don't like each other. I'm just kidding. We love each other. We're actually getting ready to celebrate our 20-year reunion. Um, there's 143 public schools that play 6-man football in Texas, and we sucked. We were terrible. But the thing about it was I loved my hometown. I loved everything that it represented. And there's also 118 or 100 around 120 private schools that play 6-man football as well. If you've never experienced a 6-man game in Texas, and the small towns have a lot of history, some of these are old towns that are just either close to non-existent or non-existent anymore. But I wrote this as an homage and as a tribute to not just my hometown, but all those schools that have the hometowns just like it. So I'm going to introduce y'all to 6-man football town.
Awesome. And then, oh, there we go.
I was trying to be smooth. Let him introduce it. Ah.
Remember way back in high school, we had no cares in the world. Those late night football Friday nights, those party nights and back roads. It takes me back into a perfect world where we really felt alive. And the rest of the world didn't exist when she was by my side. That was our world. We had it made. I'd give anything to make it where we had that world today, where Friday nights consumed our week. We were up all night and we got no sleep, 'cause our friends would call and we come six-man football town. Now 15 years later, I'm driving down my road. Was thinking of days we would always say we'd never come back home. But now it's just a memory, but the town still stays the same. At the end of the day, I can still come home and they all still know my name. Where Friday nights consumed our week, we were up all night and we got no sleep, 'cause our friends would call and we come running to all the knockdown fights at our loud Chevrolets, the stories we told when we graduate. We would leave this town behind us all for good, but this is home, will forever be our tiny six-man football town. Where Friday nights consumed our week, we were up all night and we got no sleep, 'cause our friends would call and we come running to all the knockdown fights and our loud Chevrolets, the stories we told when we graduate. We would leave this town behind us all for good, but this is home, will forever be our tiny six-man football town. So y'all come home, come by and see my tiny six-man football town. Oh yeah, my tiny six-man football town.
There we go.
All right.
Good stuff.
I'm always curious when an artist has to sit there and listen to their own song like that. Do you kind of do you nitpick it apart? Are you proud of it? What's kind of going through your mind when you have to do that, especially
That
after it's been some time in between?
it doesn't matter how many times I hear it. It's the first song that I ever released that I wrote 100% of,
Cool.
and I'm pretty proud of it. I mean, it's gotten a lot. It's gotten quite a few spins, but is it my favorite project? No, but it is one of my. It's top. One of the top ones I've done, because anytime you put your own stuff out there and people like it, then hey,
That's
I did
cool.
something right.
Yeah.
Matter of
Yeah.
fact, it's actually the official theme song of the Six-Man Football Friday Night program on KYOX The Ox in Comanche.
Very
Well,
nice.
and they do a big Six-Man Friday Night show every year, and that's the official theme song for it now. So I
Very
didn't know
cool.
that. I didn't know that until they told me. But
It's obviously super meaningful. So
Yeah.
that's my takeaway from it. I grew up in a town that's a little bit bigger than that, but I know a little bit about the culture. So that's super cool. Jeff, I want to ask you about how you plan out your music, because this seems to be in today's world of releasing music all the time and trying to know when the right time to release it and how much promotion and all the pieces that go into it. Uh, what is your strategy, or how far out do you plan your music, and how do you go about coming up with a plan?
to be honest, I've never really had a plan. I mean, I've never really had direction. I don't pay to promote because I feel like, and this is just me, I feel like if you can't promote your own stuff without having to pay somebody to do it, then why are you doing it? I mean, you've got to be able to. I I don't know what the average cost of radio promotion is now for, just standard trying to get it on the radio, but I don't have that kind of money to throw around.
Right.
I mean, I feel like I find a day that means something to me when I decide to release a song, which I think I released Rhinestones and Sober, I think a month and a half apart. But I didn't start promoting them on radio until one of them fizzled out. And there's never really been like a set schedule for me. I just, whatever, if I find a day that means something, or if there's either a holiday or a family member's birthday or something close to that, then that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
I think
that's cool.
I don't really have like a set like way of doing things. I'm still green, trying to learn little things here and there, and I've never really had direction on that. So I just kind of, okay, this day feels right. Let's do that.
All right.
Well, if everyone had the answers, then you know
We wouldn't have
Everybody
to
would
ask
do
the
it.
question.
exactly. Right. Uh,
Um,
I have
Go
a
ahead.
question though, real quick before we get to that point. I want to do the rapid fire, and then you do the last question.
Oh, sweet.
Okay. All right.
Super
Well.
excited.
All right. Okay.
All
All
right.
right. Continue on.
Oh, you want me to? Oh, go. Okay. I thought you meant you wanted to do it right now.
No. 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 No.
I got you. Okay. Well,
Just planning ahead.
I appreciate that. Would you talked to a little bit about this, but being an independent musician, um, being a little bit of a, I mean, it kind of dictates that you're a lone wolf, right? Um, but I'm sure there are plenty of folks who have been out there from time to time that have said, "Hey, Jeff, you need to do this," or "Here's, you know, a best practice," or "Don't do this." My question is, you don't have to necessarily give the name of the person, but what's the best and worst advice that you've gotten so far in terms of your own career?
Um, I'll start with the worst. When I like to do a good mix of originals and covers at my shows. I mean, Steve's been to a couple. I mean, he's seen what I play and he's heard what I've played and has seen it live. But I will also say that there have been several artists that have been in the game for a while, and people that I had mad respect for that told me, "Hey, you need to quit playing this certain song. Stop playing this certain song. Nobody likes it. That's not the. You need to stick to a genre. You need to stick to this." And I'm like, um, okay, how's that going to help me and how's it going to hurt me? But then you have somebody else come up and say, "Man, that was a great cover, man. You should do that at every show." And then he turn around and say, "Yeah, you should do it at every show." I was like, "Are you being two faced with me right now? What's going on here? Like, what? If it ain't good if it's not good for the goose, it's not good for the whole gander." Type
Sure.
type. But anyway, but the best advice I received, and I owe this man everything. JB Cloud of Abilene. He used to host West Texas Saturday nights. He's the host of Red Dirt Proud with JB Cloud, one of my favorite people on the planet. He told me, I gave him a demo back in 2013. I think I won it in a contest, and this was before I realized I had a voice. And I thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. He said, "Jeff, I love you, but this sucks. This is not something I would play on my radio station, and you can do better." And he believed in me enough to give me the honest truth. And I feel like if you can't be candid enough with somebody to give them the honest truth about something, then you're not really their friend. If somebody's doing awful, say, "Hey, bud, you're doing awful. You need to fix this." And mean it coming from a good place. When I gave JB my first single, "You Made Him Lie," he said, "That's the kind of stuff I'll play on my radio station. I am
There you go.
proud of you."
Yeah.
And that was the best advice he ever gave me, was telling me it was bad when it was bad. And
Well,
I expect anybody, and if you're really my friend and this sucks, tell me. That's what I want. It's exactly what I want.
well, shout out to JB. So I don't know if you're familiar with him or
Uh-uh.
not, but he's a legend in these parts. So and
Speaking of that Yamaha guitar I was telling you about, his daughter now owns that guitar. I sold it to him.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he's I don't want to say everybody knows JB, but everybody knows JB. So, um, yeah, he would be somebody great to have on to chat with. So we'll put that in the file to think about. But
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's got more stories than any of us. So
That man is so full of knowledge too, man.
he is. Yeah,
He's done a lot for me, and I owe that man everything.
yeah.
Seriously.
Well, thanks for bringing him up, and hope he's doing well. I guess I'm curious also. I don't know if goal setting is something that you spend much time on, but it's kind of a boring, like businessy question. But short term, long term goals, so things maybe you want to accomplish this year, and then things beyond this year that are things you want to check off.
I want to be able to get more into the songwriting. I want to be able to at least release 3 songs this year. The goal is 3. Um, and I'm gonna try to crowdfund those where I can get them out pretty quick. I want to do 2 originals and 1 cover. And I've always had a 5-year goal. And at some point, the hardest part for me being where I'm at is finding suitable people that want to work and get the full band stuff going.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Hmm.
It's been a mess. And but I mean, when I'm ready for full band stuff, I've got venues that are ready to book me.
Do you,
Um,
Jeff? Do you think that that is a partial geography thing, or do you think it's just finding the right people, or a combination of both, or
it's more or
maybe
less
both
people.
things?
I think the biggest thing is the fact that people want the instant gratification of being famous already without putting in the work. I think there's been a lot of those. 2020 kind of screwed it up for everybody, but people want, hey, I'm putting a band together. Here's what I've done. So, well, have you done this yet? Or have you opened for these people yet? So can't do it without a band.
Right.
Well, if you're not doing this, then why would I go work for you if you're not already doing that? It's like, well, you got to have a band to do that, and I don't have a band to do that. But also another one of those pieces of advice that I got from Roger Krager. He said, if you're busy doing the solo stuff, don't worry about babysitting a bunch of grown men until you have to. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. But the eventual plan, my 5 to 10 year plan, is to make the stage at the Ryman.
Well, that's a great plan. That'll take out one of your questions, so Grady.
Okay. No, I got different questions
Oh,
tonight.
okay. All
Oh,
right. Oh, cool.
Uh,
All right.
what you mentioned the cover thing a couple times as far as from your shows and getting one recorded. Not to
sure.
give away what you might record, but what are a few covers that if we catch a Jeff Martin show, what might we hear?
Lots of 90s country. Man, I'm
Okay.
a 90s country nut. But I'm not scared to talk about it. The cover that I'm going to release is going to be Chris Cornell's version of Billie Jean.
Oh,
Okay.
And
I
that's
love.
just something that's made waves at the last 7 or 8 months worth of shows.
That's what I was. Yeah. So that's been on the list. You've seen the reaction.
Hmm.
I got you. So you then feel strong to get something you feel comfortable getting behind, and you already know you've seen the eyeballs.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's cool. Kudos for that. I'm just curious. Is that one of the oddest, or I'd say oddest? Is that one that if somebody comes to your show, the one they would not be expecting? Is
Between
that it,
that,
or is there more?
there's that one. There's Hook by Blues Traveler. There's
Okay.
One Headlight by the Wallflowers. There's, gosh, man, I could go on and on about 90s contemporary. And there's also some rock. I think, I don't know if Steve was there one night, but I did the red jumpsuit apparatus face down one night.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen that. Yeah.
So it just kind of one of those. I'm in the moment, I'm feeling it, and it's like let's just let her rip, man. But a lot of it, like I'm a big Joe Diffie fan. I've always been a Joe Diffie fan. Um, Toby Keith, lots of Shenandoah, lots of '90s country, and then of course I dial into the old stuff too, But um,
Well, as a huge Joe Diffie fan, what's the go-to Joe Diffie? Is it like a hit song, or is it a little deeper
Uh,
cut? Which
I think it's a toss up, but obviously John Deere Green's always going to be everybody's favorite. But as far as like aside from that one, Third
mm,
Rock.
okay,
Nice.
I remember getting that CD back in the day.
That was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever they released Hicks tape, the most recent one with Joe Diffie's last recordings on it. That's the one where they did Morgan Wallen and Hardy and all those, and they had I think the this one had Blake Shelton, Brooks and Dunn, and Hardy, and I thought that was really cool. It's like Third Rock was that one, and then of course they had pretty much all of his songs, all of his hits that were on there. But I love Third Rock.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Very
to be
cool.
fair, only one of us is in this conversation has ever rented a car to Joe Diffie, so I'll just leave that there.
I was trying not to show off.
Well,
Uh, that's funny. Was it a pickup?
it wasn't. It was a Grand Am.
Oh, that's so disappointing.
It was a
That's
Pontiac
so
Grand
dis-
Am, maroon. Still remember it.
Oh, he's standing outside in the parking lot looking at it like this. They've never heard my song.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it
Um,
green?
it wasn't. It was maroon.
Jeez, man.
It was a nice little piece, but whatever.
Was it
Uh,
green or a truck? Jeez.
I'm gonna ask questions before we get to rapid fire because I got a
Okay.
couple that I want to ask. I think I originally met Jeff. I don't know if it was on TikTok, but it might have been. So I'm just curious what your approach is on social media because you're active and kind of how you go about figuring out what you're gonna do, or if there is a plan, or you just get on and let it rip.
I just, well, social media is just kind of like it's like the personal side of the musician, and I just try to, I try to post things that relate to people. Like I'm very anti-bully and anti-narcissist. I try to stand up for people that can't stand up for themselves,
For sure.
but I'm also one of those guys that I just like to get on there and I do live performances online. I'll take requests like, hey, what do y'all want to hear? And I always have a guitar within arm's reach of me. Case in point, got one right here. Uh, but I'm one of those that just I like to be able to relate to people, and I think that's why my following has gotten so huge on social media. And it's not even about the followers. It could be 15 or 15,000. It don't matter
Right.
who all's there, but there's somebody that can relate to what I say. And it's not necessarily anything that I've gone through. It's usually just generalized. Hey, this is something I feel like you should relate to and understand, and this is where I'm coming from. And most people say, "Hey, that's good advice," or "Shut up, we don't care." But it's the flip side to social media is people are comfortable to talk behind that keyboard and not necessarily make any sense. But I'm one of those that I just try to relate to people in a way that, hey, he understands, he knows, this is something we should talk more about. It's just there's no approach to social media. Social media, I promote my music on Facebook, Instagram, mostly, and TikTok's kind of like this is the personal side of me.
Right.
So I try to have fun on TikTok and join boxes and talk to people and try not to get banned.
Right. Some of us have
That's
experience with
tricky.
that.
That's tricky.
It is.
It's only tricky
Yeah.
if you make it tricky.
Well, that's true. Um,
I
well,
have a clean record, by the way. I'm like 3 years strong,
yeah,
and I got some friends that can get you in trouble. So
that's true. I was
that's in
clean
real life
until
and
until my friend came on. That's a whole
until
nother
Jerry.
story. Yeah, thanks, Jared.
I feel like it
Uh,
can be misunderstood
yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it happens, right? Well, I don't know if this is the right way to look at it, but after talking to enough different artists, I feel like it's a 95-5 rule. So 95% of the folks you're going to come in contact with are going to be cool, but that 5% that's not going to be cool are the ones that kind of end up sticking in the back of your head unintentionally.
Hmm.
and you accidentally start spending time thinking about the 5% when you got 95% that are actually super excited to hear,
No doubt
what's
about
going
it.
on in your life. So,
No doubt.
it is what it
I've
is.
I've I've definitely learned that I don't need 100 pennies. I just need 4 quarters. That has been my mindset for the last several months. At that, the people that matter, the ones that matter, and the people that don't will eventually see themselves out.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, it makes sense.
Well, we need to hear that in a song.
yeah,
There we go. Not everything should be a song, but maybe there's something there.
All right.
Most common misconception that people have about you, Jeff.
I'm unapproachable. I'm one of the nice. I've never met a stranger. You can walk up to me like, "Sir, I'm sorry. Sorry if I'm bothering you." Blah blah blah. It's like, you're not bothering me. I don't mind if you're watching this and you see me in public. I'm just this big 6'2", 380 pound teddy bear. I am. I am not. There's not a mean bone in my body. I'm one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. I've never met a stranger. I'm always taking pictures with people whenever they come to shows. And like, don't know if it was okay to talk to you or not. It's like, it's just my face. I'm one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, so I've never met a stranger.
I would agree. I would second that, but sometimes it's nice to hear that from the artist. So, I think we're ready for a little rapid fire, Soul Gravy, unless you
Okay.
have a long list of other questions.
I'm ready.
All right,
I
Jeff.
stumbled upon my list in my phone. I thought this was a pretty good question here.
All right.
What is a TV show that you grew up with your family watching that you still turn on and watch today?
House,
House.
House MD. I know that my dad and my mom were infatuated with that show, and then of course anything John Wayne. Man, I grew up watching westerns with my dad, and I'll still go. He'll go out in an afternoon or even on a Sunday morning before church. He'll be up there watching westerns, and I'll go over there and watch westerns with him.
That's
I think I've seen every John Wayne movie ever made.
Yeah. So I thought you cut out there, and then I realized the age difference. So I thought you said Little House, and then I thought you said Full House, and then I was like, oh no, he just said House.
no. Yeah,
So
my intention of that
Little House on the
question
Prairie.
was like
All right.
yeah, Little House or Bonanza or Andy Griffin, something like
Right.
that. And
Right.
then
Right.
he goes with a '90s show or a
Yeah. I was like,
2000
oh
show.
yeah.
Like,
Well,
oh
that's
shit, where'd
just
you
like a couple
go?
days ago.
Well, to be fair, in the '90s, my dad was never home, and for trying to provide for us kids before he met my stepmom, he was gone a lot, and it wasn't that he was gone far, but he would day work from du- daylight to dusk, and then we would see him for an hour or so in the evening, and then have to go to bed. So we never really got a chance to sit down and watch TV shows with him until he married Mama, and then he was able to get that state job, and yeah,
A little more
so
time. Yeah.
more time at home.
Very cool. All right, when your 6-man football team town, when you got off the bus, what was the go-to cartoon in the afternoon, or what was on the TV? And that's the two TV questions and back to back. You can
It
see where
is.
my
It's
mind was
aggressive.
when I was yeah.
Are you talking in high school or
Well,
just in
no, I'm
school?
thinking like as a kid.
Okay, so I think around third grade it was Dragon Ball.
Dragon
Okay,
Ball. All right.
It was
see
Dragon Ball.
the
It was
age
Dragon Ball
difference.
because that was back whenever they first introduced Dragon Ball to the U.S.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
yeah, it was Dragon Ball.
man, these questions are making me feel old.
You are.
Okay, fair enough. All right, death row meal. You got one last meal.
Death row meal. It'd have to be a ribeye steak, garlic mashed potatoes, um, sautéed asparagus, buttered corn, and peach cobbler, a glass of sweet tea.
If you're gonna go out, yeah, have a long list. Very.
Yeah. Well, and
Uh,
you worked in some vegetables, so shout out to you. That's good. I'm not sure I would. I
Something
like
about something
vegetables.
about
really steak,
something about
steak, steak,
sautéed
and tea.
asparagus.
Right.
Fresh asparagus is great. I love it.
Okay, we'll actually do one of Talbot's music questions. So,
Oh,
as
nice.
a desert island album, you get one album. I know that's a
Mm.
tough question, but that's what we do here.
one album. I get one album to listen
Mhm.
to on a deserted island for the rest of my life.
Or at least until you get rescued.
Garth Brooks, "Rope in the Wind."
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
That's a first.
Yeah.
I Yeah, I think we had did was we did have one Garth Brooks, but that wasn't Rope in the Wind. So shout out
It
to
was one
Garth.
of his first albums, wasn't it?
Yep, I
Yeah.
think it was
Yeah. It
first
was.
or second, wasn't it?
Yep.
Had a
All
little bit
right.
of everything on it.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. All right. Talbo,
Oh,
you
are
wanna?
we ready? All right. So first off, folks, thank you so much for joining tonight. We appreciate it. Have had fun hanging with our buddy Jeff. If you wouldn't mind, go find him wherever you stream. Uh, YouTube YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Prime, Tidal, Shazam, wherever it is. Go find our friend Jeff and give him a follow. Also, Jeff, what's your handles on socials?
Jeff Martin, Texas Music, all spelled out.
Perfect.
If you look up Jeff Martin Music, you're going to find somebody that looks like Chad Kroger and Chris Cornell had a love child, and that is not me.
Oh, interesting. I'm
I saw
actually
that
going to
guy.
immediately do that now.
No, I saw that guy when I was looking for the picture for the during halftime. I was
So
like,
you already
yeah,
know.
that ain't him. No, yeah,
Yeah,
that
for
ain't
sure.
him. So we added Texas, and yes, you come up immediately when we added Texas. So
Yep, Jeff
Perfect.
Martin, Texas Music on all of it.
And while you're free subscribing to another great artist, feel free to throw a free subscription to YouTube, to the Texas to Tennessee podcast. We appreciate it. Our future sponsors also appreciate it. So, thank you for that. Tonight's final question. I'm pretty honored. I don't get to
okay,
ask it very often. I think it's the second time. One time, Soul Gravy left. So I got saddled with it. But this question started as a joke on the very first Texas to Tennessee No Name Radio, whatever
yep.
podcast that we started. The question is, Jeff, what is your favorite Little Debbie snack?
There's so many. You can't do that to me.
You can.
We said the questions are
Okay, all
tough.
right,
It's
all right.
tough around here.
I'm gonna set you up with a discontinued one they don't make anymore.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll take
The
that.
PB&J oatmeal pies.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
They used to be, they're smaller than an oatmeal cream pie, but they were PB&J.
Did you just get one?
Hell no.
Oh,
I'd,
okay.
I'd eat about two or three.
No, I mean in a package. Is there just
No, no,
one?
no, no. It's like a standard box, so there's like 8 or 10 in a box.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but they
Nice.
So
were
they're like in the
They were
boxes.
individually wrapped. Yes, but
Yeah, they were
were
individually wrapped, and no, I never ate just one.
right.
All right.
So we've
But
had
they don't
two.
make, but they don't make them anymore. They make the peanut butter ones, but they don't make
Yeah.
PB&J anymore, and I'm really sad about that.
That's wild.
We've had two different artists call for them to start making things all over again. BJ Barham had one that he demanded
Yes.
Little Debbie to start making again, and now we got another one. So we're trying to bring it back some too.
It's like
So,
Yeah,
it's
so
free crowd research for Little Debbie too, by the way. I mean,
so
there's so
unlike
much of a benefit.
unlike the off chance somebody from Little Debbie's is watching, I'm pleading with you.
Yes.
Pleading with you. This is like the one thing I could ever ask for.
Well,
Death
good
Row
news.
Meal just got changed.
Yeah.
A box of
Give me a whole box of them Little Debbie's. I'll eat every one of them. I don't care.
Good news is Soul Gravy's going to hashtag Little Debbie on this one. So
Hashtags Little Debbie PB&J.
there you go. Well, hey, man, thanks so much for taking time out of your evening to hang with us, and all the best to you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank y'all.
See y'all. Take care. Thanks for joining us.
Mike wanted to know if he could still get your music on LimeWire.
Yeah, look it up on actually FrostWire, the second one.
Okay, that's good. Well, maybe we'll save some computers.
Actually, I think the streaming service actually allows me to sell it through Napster, so I think you can find it at Napster.
Oh,
All right. Speaking of throwbacks, all right, man.
there you go.
Appreciate it.
Y'all be good.